Great design is in the details, and so many people are missing these basic things. Hey there, hi, welcome to the channel. I am Garrett, and in this video, we're talking all about the small and fine details that make the difference between a space that's really well designed and functional and one that's not. We talk about design on this channel, and you know I love functionality, I love purpose, I love for spaces to work for the people they're in, which is definitely why you should be giving this video a like and subscribing if you're not already. Now we have got a lot of these to go over, so let's get into the video. The first design detail that so many people miss and really makes the difference in a space, how it functions, how it looks, the overall feeling is that we don't put furniture in places that impede walkways. Specifically in a doorway, when you're entering a room or a space, you want to avoid having a big piece of furniture like right there in the doorway. And I see this so often because a lot of times we don't have a choice about what we put and where we put it, because of just the way a space works and the things that we need to have in that space. But having a piece in front of a doorway where you walk in that's too deep will create the sense that the space is smaller than it is, that it's closed in, and that that piece of furniture is bigger than it is. The realities are that in a doorway, we want a door to have maximum clearance. We want it to be able to open completely, or at least have a space between the edge of the door frame and where that piece of furniture starts that matches the width of the doorway. That way you get this kind of vestibule-like space where you can step into the room and get around a piece of furniture. But you also want to make sure that the piece of furniture you're putting in that space is no larger than 18 or so inches. Even in my bedroom, our primary bedroom in this home, we have to have a piece of furniture right there in the doorway when you walk in because it serves as a TV unit. It holds the kind of like TV box. We're desperate in need of storage in this house, and that really works for us. So we have to have a piece of furniture in the walkway of our space. But we go for one that's a little bit more shallow, that allows us to get around it, that doesn't make the space feel bulky, because we don't have an option. We can't move our bed somewhere else. We can't move our television somewhere else. We could go without a TV, but we like to have a TV. We like to cuddle up and watch movies in bed. That's just what we like to do. So the functionality of the space has to be there. We have to have a piece of furniture there to hold the things we need it to hold, to be able to set all of the boxes for the TV and whatnot on it. But the realities are, it's gonna be in the way of the doorway. We wanna make sure that piece is thinner, it's smaller so that we can get around it and it doesn't feel overwhelming, it doesn't take up the space. Something else you can do to compensate for the fact you have something there is to make sure that piece is visible. So if you have a really low bench, put a pillow on it, build that height up just a little bit. You don't want the height to be more than the kind of standard console height of about 32 to 34 inches, but avoid pieces that are too tall because this is also gonna make them look bulkier and fuller, especially when you are putting them in a tight space like in front of a doorway. The next piece of design mistakes, ideas, whatever you want to call these, are sofa tables. I see them all the time and I love a good sofa table, but there is a difference between a sofa table and a console table. Console tables, like the one behind me, sit a little bit taller. These are standard table heights because we are typically putting them in entryways or spaces that we walk past, we're using. They're intended to set things down on, which means that they need to be taller. But a sofa, the back of a sofa is typically not that tall. We see them on average in the 30-inch range. So you want a sofa table to sit below that. If I have a table that's this tall and it's backed up to my sofa, things are gonna feel like they could fall off either side. Because they could. You want the table to sit a little bit lower, that way you almost have a shelf-like effect to it where it has something behind it. It's also more difficult to reach something that is higher up behind you, but if you have a table that's slightly lower, anything you put on it, whether it's a drink, a snack, a cup, whatever, is going to be more protected and less likely to spill onto your furniture if it's knocked over. It'll spill the opposite way. You also have the problem of potential knockover of the table. When it's sitting this high, you could very easily bump into it and knock the whole thing over. Because a console table is not necessarily the most sturdy because they're typically pretty thin to go behind a sofa. That's why you want it to sit lower. This is a major pet peeve that I notice whenever I walk into a room. If a table is higher than the back of a sofa, you kind of get that effect of like, what's there, what's happening, why is it like that, as opposed to the anticipation or the interest of, hey, what's behind the sofa? What are those lamps resting on? you want that table to sit a little bit lower. That's one of those details that makes the difference in a space that really says a designer finish, as opposed to just having something to put there because it works or because you want it to be there because you want to have another space to decorate. Having that sofa table lower is really one of those designer details that you should not skimp out on. And do not try and come for me saying that I have a sofa table behind my sofa that's too tall. My sofa is just here for filming purposes. You're not gonna drag me, you're not gonna read me for filth, honey. The next designer detail that I see being missed all of the time has to do with applied moldings. I love applied moldings if they're applied in the correct way. They have to line up in a certain manner to create the effect you're after. The history behind applied moldings is all about classical proportions and scale. You see them in a lot of times in like palaces and chateaus and villas that really enhance a space and make it feel very grand. And this is why a lot of people bring them into their spaces, because they fill up space, they make a space look grand, they're a beautiful detail. They can be used in a lot of really great ways, but if they're not done right, they go south very quickly. The detail I have an issue with when it comes to applied moldings typically is when a space has windows and doors that are at varying heights. On average, a builder will make a door and window opening about a foot shorter than the ceiling. That way they have the same scale, they match in proportion, but that doesn't always happen. Sometimes you have a 7-foot door with a 9-foot ceiling. Sometimes you will have 8-foot windows and a 9-foot door. You can have these instances where these things just don't line up. What do you do in that case? Oftentimes people will just pick the taller of the two and align the applied moldings up with that. But it creates this really weird proportion that you can't help but noticing, and you're like, hey, why is that shorter than that? The realities are, when you miss a detail like that, it makes something that you want to hide more obvious. In an instance where you have 2 case openings that are at different heights, you have to choose the lower case opening to align the applied moldings with. And then you put a piece of picture rail molding above, between the crown and between the applied moldings. What this does is it creates the balance within that space. You no longer will have that odd kind of place where they jump and adjust size or whatever. You now have something that's balanced and even. You can then take that piece of picture rail molding and you can dead end it into a window frame or a door frame, whichever is taller. You create balance that way. Or you have to do a double box. You take the one applied molding and you do a smaller box above it to fill the space correctly. Also, you want to make sure that your moldings in size, scale, like width of them, all matches. You don't want to have a huge crown molding and then teeny tiny little applied moldings, or vice versa. You want to make sure that they have similar size to them. A crown molding should be thicker than an applied molding, and you always want to have a crown molding with an applied molding. That way you get the appropriate kind of feeling, vibe, scale to them. The next design detail that is so easy to fix, but drives people, me, everyone crazy that it's always missed, is the size of a comforter on your bed. Typically, I like to get a comforter that is one size up from the bed. So if you have a twin size bed, you get a full size comforter. If you have a queen size bed, you get a king size comforter. This creates a more luxurious hotel-like feel versus if you have a comforter that's just a little bit too short, you're gonna see the side of a mattress, you're gonna see all of the little like sheets and stuff if they're not tucked in correctly. It makes it so much easier to make a bed and have a bedroom that looks luxurious, that looks like it's out of a catalog, looks beautiful, that you want to be in by having an oversized comforter. When it's undersized and you can see sheets, it just doesn't have a very luxurious feeling. It doesn't feel like it looks good. It doesn't feel like beautiful, especially if you have a beautiful bed or you have a bed skirt or something. You want the two pieces of fabric to kind of flow together. You want them to look layered and have that detail. But when a comforter is too short or it's not wide enough for a bed, it doesn't look good. It doesn't feel beautiful. We spend the bulk of our lives in our bed. We want them to be luxurious, we want them to be beautiful, plus getting an oversized comforter means that if you have someone that steals the covers from you, they have more that they have to steal, which means that you have more covers for longer. Although I don't have a problem with that because I'm the one that steals the covers, but that's not the point of this video. I'm not actually the one that steals the covers. You are. I don't take the, well, I mean, I might take them off of me because it gets hot, but that doesn't mean that you can take them from me. The next design detail that I see that is missed, that is so important, is you do not want to walk into a space to a tall piece of furniture. There are instances where you can walk into a space to a piece of furniture, kind of like where you walk into the door and there's a table in front of you, or you walk into a room to the back of a sofa or chairs. You can do that, but you want to make sure you really take into account the height of that piece of furniture. We typically don't like to see anything that's more than 36 inches, otherwise it feels like a wall. You can use this to your advantage, and you can do that in a space where it's maybe a hallway where you don't want people stepping into this space or that space. You want them walking straight down a hallway or something to that effect. You want to create a sense of flow, or you want to create a sense of division. You can do that as well. This is really great for spaces that are open concept where you want to create a divide. This is the dining area. This is the living area. Using a taller piece of furniture will get you that effect you're after and can be really good, but that doesn't make a space necessarily feel welcoming. You don't want to walk into your front door and have like two giant wingback chairs with their backs to you. That's not something that feels really good or really comfortable. The same thing goes for a room. You may have a den or something like that. You want to put that piece with its back to a wall that you're not going to walk into, because it immediately feels like an obstacle, a blockage, something there that you're seeing it's the back of something. It's not welcoming. It doesn't embrace you into the room. It doesn't welcome you into that space. It kind of says, whoa, now you're going the other way. Get away from me. Not the vibe. You want to feel welcome when you walk into a space. So having something that's tall there when you walk in doesn't feel good, but having something that is smaller that's at that 30-inch height will guide you around it without closing a space off or making you feel like there's a non-visible wall. Does that make sense? It's gonna make you feel like you can enter the room, like you're welcome in the space, as opposed to feeling like, hey, you're welcome if you go around me, or that way. It gives you a sense of like openness and lightness, as opposed to being closed off and a little bit unwelcoming. The last design detail, and definitely the most important that I see being missed by so many people, is that we're not considering the scale of furniture and how it relates to a space. Most importantly though, that people don't realize that the main piece of furniture sets this tone, sets the scale for the rest of the space. What that means is the main piece in your room. So if it's a living room, it's your sofa. If it's the bedroom, it's your bed. If it's an office, it's the desk. That piece of furniture, the main reason you're going into that space, sets the tone for everything else. If that's not the right scale, nothing else will be. And if you get pieces that don't align with that scale, it's gonna make that piece look huge or bulky or undersized, whatever is the opposite in that space. Scale is the #1 most important thing to keep in mind when you are decorating a space. There's a lot of rules out there that don't make sense, that are exceptions to the rule. You know I have an entire series all about this. Stop taking this design advice. Part 1, 2, and 3 will be linked in the description box below. But this is one of those things that holds true no matter the space, no matter where. The main piece of furniture in a room sets the tone for the rest of the pieces. Sets the size, the scale, proportions, everything. If you get the main piece for that room first and you align everything else up with it afterward, you'll have a space that does not feel crowded, that doesn't feel undersized, that feels really comfortable in that room, as opposed to getting something that's really big, like a big bulky chair, and then trying to get everything else to match it, because the chair is either gonna feel much larger than it is, or you're gonna get furniture that's way too big for the space. Or the opposite is true. You might get pieces that are undersized. It's always easier to add more pieces in than it is to just use the right scale the first time. So you want to keep in mind that that main piece, the one piece you're going into that room for, sets the tone for everything else in terms of color, in terms of scale, proportion, layout, everything. That one main piece is the most important feature in the room and needs to be taken into consideration first. It needs to be what you're building the space around. Well, there you have it, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to let me know in the comment section down below, but also let me know, what are some of those design details, those basic little things, the fine details that people miss, that people overlook, that people just glaze over or completely forget to do in general? I want to hear from you. Let us know in the comment section down below. Be sure you like this video and you're subscribed to the channel for more videos like this. And we all know someone that could use some help with these details. Maybe they're gonna put applied molding in their house. I don't know your friends, girl, but share this video with them because friends help friends. And I will see you in the next one.